Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. May we all stand and have our national or sing the national anthem before we kickstart the program. Please, to our sisters. May we have a moment? Our technical guys are still assisting with the national anthem. Okay, let's move right along. Instead of the national anthem, I propose that we observe a moment of silence so that we proceed with the program. May we start? Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. A gentleman by the name of Matthews Desmond is quoted as saying, I quote, "Housing is absolutely essential to human flourishing. Without stable shelter, it all falls apart." Those are my introductory remarks. My name is Emmanuel. My mother told me that I am gone there by surname. I don't have any reason to believe otherwise. Today I'll be assisting us with running the program. I request that all of us we drive this ship together. I believe that it will be a successful event. Few housekeeping issues. There are ablution facilities just outside the auditorium on the entrance. When you entered, on the left, there are both male and female ablution facilities. Having said that, I will now go straight to the program and invite my colleague, Mr. Bongarabetsi, to do opening and welcoming. In fact, to do opening and welcoming.
Let me take this opportunity to also greet you all who are here today, as been mentioned by my colleague, Ndate Nkonde. My name is Oarabile Khaurailwe. I am from the South African Human Rights Commission in the Northwest Province.
Ya ka re ngonda sa tlhalositse ke nna Oarabile Khaurailwe mme ke tswa ko commission eno ya ditshwanelo tsa botho.
I'm here today to officially welcome each and every one of you who is here today.
Rata go amogela botlhe ba ba teng fa.
Ba e leng goreng ba tswa ko ditheong tse di farologaneng tsa puso le ba e leng goreng ba tswa ko di-NGOs, ko our media houses, our complainants, ke re lotlhe le amogelesegile. By so saying, let me also take this opportunity to introduce our panel for the day. We have our provincial manager in the South African Human Rights Commission in the Northwest Province, Ms. Shirley Mlombo.
Re rata go itsise provincial manager mo province ya Bokone Bophirima ke mme Shirley Mlombo.
Mme Shirley Mlombo ona le our commissioner, ke Commissioner Mtuli.
Mme Mlombo tsamaya le commissioner mme ke mme Mtuli.
May you are all welcome today as we launch the RDP report. E leng goreng it's joined with a community engagement which will start today here in Rustenburg, and tomorrow we'll proceed to go to Letlhapile in Brits, and then on Friday we will meet with the communities in Klerksdorp within Kanana community.
Re rata go lo amogela fa re ka ba re ntsha pegelo eno e buang ka go ya matlo kana di RDP tsa simolola gompieno mo Rustenburg re Brits mme re tla feleletsa kwa Kanana Hockney.
Today we are here to launch a report which is based on the investigation regarding the long outstanding, inadequate and incomplete RDP house or the reconstruction and development program houses.
Gompieno re tlile go bua ka tletlebo e nne ra e amogela e tsamaisanang le matlo a sa fetsang go agiwa kana a di-RDP.
So with that being said, let me say you are all welcome, and as I've mentioned, you are indeed in the right place at the right time for us to launch this report today. Thank you.
Ra lo amogela mme re itumela go nna le lona mo lo amogelesegile.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Oarabile. Before I move to the next item, and this would be probably augmenting what Oarabile was doing, and it will also assist the commissioner and the provincial manager to know who is our audience today. From the colleagues from the media, we've got SABC, we welcome them. We welcome News Note, Pulse FM, and Mafisa FM. And thank you for honoring us today. And then from the government departments, the public protector is represented. Then, government public protector is represented. There's Madibeng municipality, there's Rustenburg local municipality, and there's also representation from the office of the HOD in Human Settlement. The Premier's office is also represented. City of Matlosana as well, they are here. There are representatives as well from the University of Northwest. IEC is also part of our midst. There's an organization, I'm not sure of the name, it's from our register, it's written NWPT, we acknowledge them, and other NGOs. We also welcome our champions who are here today. We lastly welcome the complainants that brought these matters to the commission. Having said that, I will then move on and invite the provincial manager to set the tone for what we are today and give us the purpose of the meeting. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you so much, Emmanuel, Program Director. Good morning to colleagues. And I would like to also echo the words of colleagues of welcome and appreciation for the time that you've made to be with us this morning. We know that you could have been busy with many other things, but you saw that in the many other things that you could be doing, this is one of the important things that you can employ your time towards, and we do not take it for granted. My apologies, we are relearning, to to work with the interpreter. I sincerely apologize. Over to you. Yes, and as I was saying, we do not take that for granted as the South African Human Rights Commission. And this is also because we know that if any of the recommendations in our report are to be implemented, we need your support and your assistance as stakeholders as seated here today. Now, coming to the item that I'm supposed to address you on, being the purpose of the engagement. As other speakers have indicated, it is really to launch our report on the investigation of incomplete and inadequate RDP houses in the Northwest. The investigation was prompted by complaints from some of the stakeholders that are with us today. However, during the investigation, it became apparent that the issues they are complaining about don't only affect them, but many other citizens in the province. And this is the reason then that we've decided to look into this matter at a systemic level. So today is really a culmination of our investigative work. However, as indicated, it's not the end of the road. It's actually the beginning of another journey of ensuring that there is compliance with the recommendations made. For the purposes of the launch, our commissioner will be taking us through the investigative journey we've taken as a commission. The findings we've made consequent to the investigation we've undertaken. As well as our recommendations and directives of what must be done to rectify the violations that were found during the investigation of the report. After that, we will then welcome any engagement from and those also, I know we are streaming online. We didn't welcome, those who are also joining us online. Welcome to you as well.
ba ba re joinileng ba dirisa mafaratlhatlha a internet ra lo amogela.
So all attendees present and online will be invited to engage on the report with us.
Re laletsa botlhe ba ba teng fano le ba ba teng mo mafaratlhatlheng a internet gore ba dirisane mmogo le rona re tsamaisane mmogo mo pegolong eno.
And the ultimate aim of all of this and the community engagements that we're going to be having is really to not create is not the right word, but to invite everybody to work with us in ensuring that the report recommendations are implemented.
Maikelo a magolo a pokano eno ke go kopa botlhe gore re dirisane mmogo e le gore report kana pegelo eno e diragadiwe.
As the commission, we cannot be in every community, every municipality because of our own capacity challenges.
Ga re ka ra kgona go nna mafelong otlhe ka dinako tsotlhe ka gonne go na le mo re tlang re tlhaela teng.
So we are relying on all of you to be our ears and eyes in the communities in which you live.
Re kopa re tswe lo ne lo ntshitse matlho dinameng lo letsebe ntlha e le gore le kgone go nna le tlisetsepegelo.
We hope to receive regular updates from you of how far the authorities have gone in your communities in implementing our recommendations.
Re letsa thata lo tsole le ikgolaganya le rona gore begela gore a mme seo re go lenga sone mo reporteng eno sa diragadiwa.
I know some of the attendees, they have their own organizations, NPOs, and the work that they do in their communities.
Ra itse re bangwe ba lona fa nna le mekgatlho ya lona eo le dirisang go thusa baagi.
And we hope that you will use that influence that you have in your communities, in your spheres as well, to bring pressure to bear to ensure that the wrongs that have been identified are rectified.
Re letsa thata gore lo dirise maatla a lona gore lo tsenya kgatelelo mo tlase ga ba tshwanetseng go diragatsa dilo gore tiro e dirwe.
And also to our media partners, we hope that this story is not only a story for today,
Mme gape le babegadikgang ra kopa gore e se ka nna kgang tsa gompieno fela.
but that it will be kept alive in the conscience of the nation, until the duty bearers do what is right by the people.
Mme a re tsweleleng re dirisa maatla re na le one jaaka babegadikgang gore kgang eno e tswelele tshela gore e neele mo mogopolong ya batho.
With that, allow me to thank you again and give over to the program director.
Thank you very much, PM. I think I would not waste any further time. I'll just acknowledge Public Service Commission. They have joined us in the meeting. I've noticed one of their members.
Public Service Commission
I will now then hand over to Commissioner Duli to take us through the report and the launching thereof. Thank you very much.
Commissioner Duli.
Thank you very much, Program Director. Thank you very much, Program Director, and good morning, fellow South Africans. I join previous speakers in welcoming you to this launch of the final report of the South African Human Rights Commission's inquiry into incomplete and inadequate activities in the Northwest Province.
Amanang le patlisiso ya komiti ya ditshwanelo tsa batho mo Aforika Borwa e amanang le dintlo tsa merero ya kgomagano kana di RDP e nang le batlisisa.
The South African Human Rights Commission is an independent state institution established in terms of Section 181 of the South African Constitution.
Komisione ya ditshwanelo tsa batho ke mokgatlho o ikemetseng mo Aforika Borwa mme e ile ya theiwa ga molaotheo wa karolo 181 mo molaotheong wa Afrika Borwa.
The Commission is mandated to strengthen constitutional democracy in South Africa.
Maikaelelo a magolo a komišene eno ke go thusa gore e tswelele e le teng le gore e ungwele batho.
The Commission is required to promote respect for human rights and a culture of human rights.
Maikaelelo a magolo a komišene ke go thusa gore ditshwanelo tsa batho di tlotliwe,
To promote the protection, development, and attainment of human rights.
le go thusa gore ditshwanelo tsa batho di sirelediwe le gore batho ba bone ditshwanelo tsa bone.
And to monitor and assess the observance of human rights in the Republic.
Le go nna re lebeletse le go batlisisa gore a ditshwanelo tsa batho ga di telele.
The Commission is empowered to investigate and report on the observance of human rights in the Republic.
Komišene eno e filwe maatla a go batlisisa le go ntsha dipegelo tse di amanang le ditshwanelo tsa batho mo Aforika Borwa.
The Commission is also empowered to take steps to secure appropriate redress where human rights have been violated.
Gape re na le kana maatla le maikarabelo a gore fa ditshwanelo tsa batho di gateletswe re tseye dikgato tse di rileng go baakanya seo.
The Northwest Provincial Office of the Commission identified the challenges of incomplete and inadequate RDP houses in the province as one of the human rights issues that require intervention at a systemic level, as the provincial manager has indicated.
Ofisi ya komišene ya ditshwanelo tsa batho mo Aforika Borwa ile ya ela tlhoko gore go na le matlo a sa agiwang a nameng mo provinceng. Seno se ile sa bontsha gore ke ditshwanelo tsa batho, mme ba ile ba tsaya tshwetso ya gore ba batlisise gore goreng seo se ile sa dira.
The intervention of the Human Rights Commission took the form of an investigation and an inquiry. The purpose of the investigation was as such.
Maikaelelo magolo le go tsenela ga rona mo patlisisong eno ebile seno gape ke se re se fitlheletseng.
One, it was to assess the prevalence of the challenge of incomplete and inadequate RDP houses in the Northwest Province.
Sa ntlha le go bona gore goreng go na le matlo kana matlo a sa fetsang go agiwa mo provinceng ya Bokone Bophirima.
Two, to examine the root causes of the challenge of incomplete and inadequate RDP houses in the province.
Le go sekaseka gore matlo ano a sa fediwang go agiwa a ama batho jang mo provinceng.
Thirdly, to assess the impact of the challenge of incomplete and inadequate RDP houses on the subsidy beneficiaries, including vulnerable groups, as per section 9, 10, 25, and 26 of the Constitution.
Le go bona gore bao ba tlhokang thuso ya puso go sa fediwe ga ga matlo ano ba go buang ka bone mo di-sectioneng tseo tsa sele tsa Constitution section 9, 10, and 25 ba amega jang.
Also to examine the state's plans to address the challenges.
Le go sekaseka gore maikaelelo a puso ke eng go baakanya mathata a kana bothata jo.
To also explore the role that various actors can play in bringing about the desired change.
Le go bona gore batho ba ba farologaneng ba na le seabe sefe go baakanya bothata jo.
And lastly, as the provincial manager has indicated, to also make findings and recommendations to address the challenges.
Mme jaaka provincial manager sa tlhalositse le go bona gore ke eng se se fitlhelelang le gore re tsintsa eng kana ra ka ntsha eng gore bothata jo le bo baakang.
As the provincial manager has indicated, we did receive a number of individual and community complaints related to incomplete or inadequate RDP houses.
Ra mogela dingongora go tswa kwa batho ba ba farologaneng di amanang le matlo ano a sa fediwang go agiwa.
I will now summarize some of those complaints.
Ke tla sobokanya dingongorego tseo.
The first complaint was received from Mr. Mate, who lodged the complaint in June 2021.
Wa ntlha ke rema ngongora eno ka June 2021.
Alleged that an RDP housing development project was approved in respect of Kalpan village in 2018 for the construction of 26 homes.
Re Mathiwile a re go dagatiwa tshwetso ya gore go tla agiwa matlo ko motseng wa Kalpan go tla agiwa matlo a le 26.
Kalpan village falls within the Mahikeng local municipality.
Motsono wa Kalpan o wela mo kgaolong ya kana mo masepaleng wa Mahikeng.
The construction of the 26 homes began in 2018, and the contractor abandoned the site after digging the foundations for the 26 homes.
Tiro eno ya go aganya simolola ka 2018 mme ra kontraka na tlogela tiro eo a sa e fetse morago gore a epele foundation.
They further alleged that the community made several inquiries on the status of the project to the municipality and the Department of Human Settlements, but they did not receive any satisfactory responses.
Re mathe a re baagi ba ne ba simolola go botsa ko lefapheng ko masepala ba ba botsa le lefapha leo la Human Settlements mabapi le matlo ano a sa fitlhang baagi.
The commission also received a complaint from Ms. Morosi in August 2022.
Commission gape e ne amogela complaint kana ngongora go tswa go Mme Morosi.
She alleged that an RDP housing aspect of the community in Orkney is in the Matlosana local municipality.
Ene a re go ne ga tsewa tshwetso ya gore ba tla agelwa matlo kwa motseng wa ko masepaleng wa Matlosana.
The beneficiaries, her RDP home was constructed during 2015 but was not completed.
Ere ka lena na tlile go amogela ntlo ya neng a ya beetse na simolola go agiwa ka 2015 mme ga ya fetsa kana ga ba ka fetsa go ya.
To this end, windows, doors, toilet facilities, sinks and ceilings were not installed in the home.
Seno se raya gore ga go ka tsenngwa matlhabaphefo ga go ka tsenngwa ditswalo mo ntlong eo.
She lodged complaints with the Department of Human Settlements and was repeatedly told that the contractor would come back to fix the inadequacies, but nothing has happened yet.
O ne a ibuela ko lefapheng la Human Settlements mme ba ne ba mmolelela gore rakonteraka o tla boa gore a tle go baakanya dilo tseo.
The commission also received a complaint from Mr. Tinyane in August 2022.
Gape ka August ngongora go tswa go Rre Tinyane.
Tinyane alleged that an RDP housing development project was approved in respect of his community in Masakeng in Orkney.
Rre Tinyane le ene a re ba ne ba solofeditse gore ba tla agela matlo kwa motseng wa Masakeng kwa Orkney.
The RDP home was constructed in and around 2014, but it was not properly plastered.
Matlo ao a ne a agiwa ka ngwaga wa 2014.
He was informed that the contractor would return to fix the plastering problems before he moved into the house, but this did not happen.
O ne a bolelelwa gore rakonteraka o tla boa gore a tle go plastara matlo ao.
He has now moved into his home, but the plastering is still not done.
Le fa bona a fudugetse ko ntlong eo e santse e sa fela ka gonne ga ya plastara.
2022, the commission also received a complaint from Mr. Skalveig.
Ka August 2022 gape nna ra amogela pego kana boikuelo go tswa go Rre Skalveig.
Mr. Skalveig alleged that an RDP housing development project was approved in respect of his community in the JB Max local municipality in 2019.
Rre Skalveig a re le ene mo motseng wa nna mo gone ba ne ba solofeditse gore ba tla agelwa matlo ka 2019 kwa masepaleng wa JB Max.
As part of the project, 365 houses were supposed to be built, but only 100 houses were completed.
Go ne go tshwanetse go agiwe matlo a le 300,000 mme go ne go agiwe matlo fela a le 100.
even the 100 houses that were completed were already presenting some faults.
Tota le matlo a 100 a neng a agilwe go ne go bonna tota a na le diphošonyana.
Faults include plumbing defects,
Dingwe tsa dilo tseo di leng ra di lemoga ke gore le plumbing kana mo metsi ne le matsapa.
wet and moldy walls due to water leakages,
Mabota a nang le metsi ka gonne a nang a dutla.
and extremely high foundations without steps to enter and exit the homes.
Di di-foundation tse di kwa godimo tseo mo go sena di-steps tsa gore batho ba ka tsena mo matlong.
In addition to the infrastructural faults mentioned concerning the completed RDP houses,
Mo godimo ga matlo ano a neng a sa fela fa go ne go agiwa,
people living with disabilities have been handed over RDP houses which are not accessible and fit for purpose for their specific needs.
batho ba ba tshelang ka bogole ga ba ne ba newa matlo a ba sa kgoneng go tsena mo go one sentle.
With regards to the incomplete houses,
Mo kganyeng eno ya matlo a sa fediwang go agiwa,
some were left with only the foundations.
ba bangwe ba tlogetse fela ba agetse di-foundation.
These challenges were reported to the JB Max local municipality and the ward councillor, but there was no reaction.
Baagi ba ne ba ya isa boikuelo go ward councillor le ko masepaleng wa JB Max.
The commission received another complaint in November 2022
Komishene e ne amogela ngwaga e nngwe gape ka November 2022.
The complainant alleged that an RDP housing development project was approved in respect of his village in Letabong, which is in the Rustenburg local municipality.
Motsenya kopo ono a re ba ne ba tshwanetse ba agele matlo kwa motseng wa bo kwa Lethabong mo motseng wa mo toropong ya Rustenburg.
The complainant's mother is one of the beneficiaries of this housing project.
Mmaagwe mo ngongoregi yono o ne a tshwanetse go nna mongwe wa batho ba ba elwang mabaka.
Approximately 100 houses were supposed to be constructed as part of the project, yet the construction was not completed.
Go ne go tshwanetse go agiwe matlo a le 100 mme kana project ene ga ya ka ya fediwa go agiwa.
Some houses were constructed to the halfway point, while others had only their foundations.
Mangwe a matlo ano a na agiwa mme a tlogela mo tseleng mme a mangwe ga a ka agiwa go agiwa.
He reported the matter to his ward councillor in 2019,
O ne a isa ngongorego eno kwa mokhanselareng ka 2019
and the ward councillor advised that the matter was being attended to.
mme mokhanselara o ne a mmolelela gore ba tshwanetse ba sekaseka kgang eno.
The ward councillor, however, no longer responds to his inquiries when he follows up.
Ka maswabi mokhanselara ga se tlhola mo araba fa a batlisisa ka kgang eno.
The commission also received a complaint in November 2022 from a Miss Rambao,
Gape re ne ra amogela complaint ka ngongora go tswa ka go mme Rambao.
She alleged that an RDP housing development project was approved in respect of the community in Sekgwailane.
A re ba ne ba tshwanetse go agela matlo kwa motseng wa gabo wa Sekgwailane.
The project was approved in 2017 and Sekgwailane is in Brits in the Madibeng local municipality.
Projeke eno kana go ne ga ntshiwa kana ga bua gore matlo a agiwa a tla agiwa ka 2017 mme motseng wa Sekgwailane o ko motseng wa ka go masepaleng wa Madibeng municipality.
At the time, she was a ward committee member and participated in the process of identifying beneficiaries for the housing project.
Ka nako eo re ne le leloko la ward committee mme ebile a nna le seabe mo go batlisitseng gore ke batho bafe ba ba tlhokang matlo.
However, out of the 50 houses that were supposed to be built, only 30 houses were built.
Le fa go ntse jalo le fa go ne go tlile go tla agiwa matlo a le 50 go agilwe a le 30 fela.
The construction of the remaining houses was abandoned after holes or trenches were dug.
Matlo a mang a le 20 kana na tshwanetse a agiwe, a na tlogela fela ga sa agiwe morago ga gore go ipiwe di-foundation.
The trenches that were dug were posing a danger
Mekoti eo kana di-foundation tseo di tsenya le matshelo a bana mo kotsing ba ba nnang mo motseng.
Those houses that were built, some are already presenting structural issues such as cracking walls and leaking roofs.
Le fa gone matlo ano a agilwe go bona a simolola go nna le bothata ka gonne mabati a simolola go phanyega ebile go simolola go nna le metsi a simolola go tla kana marobelo a simolola go tla.
In December 2022, the Commission received another complaint from a Mr. Putia High,
Ka December 2022 commission e ne amogela pego kana mo morago tsa go report ya gae.
Mr. Putia High alleged that an RDP housing development project was approved in respect of his community in Volmaranstad, which is in Mamusa local municipality.
Report ya gae a re ba ne ba tshwanetse go agela matlo go motseng wa gago kwa Volmaranstad mo masepaleng wa Mamusa.
He is one of the beneficiaries of the housing development project and was given a house number.
O ne a fiwa nomoro ya ntlo e re ka le ena na tle go fiwa ntlo.
Only a foundation slab was built.
Wa agetse fela foundation le slab.
His is not the only house that was left incomplete.
Ga se ntlo ya gagwe fela e ne a tlogela e sa fetsa go agiwa.
Many other houses were left incomplete.
Matlo a le mantsi a ne a tlogela a sa fediwa go agiwa.
Other RDP houses had been constructed but not handed over to the beneficiaries.
Matlo a mangwe le fa a ne a agilwe ga a ka abelwa gope. Kana ga a ka abelwa batho ba ne ba tshwanetse ba amogela.
And this resulted in those houses being vandalized.
Mme seno se ne sa felela ka gore matlo ano a simolole go senngwa.
The complainant reported this matter to the MEC responsible for human settlements, as well as the Office of the Minister of Human Settlements, but did not receive adequate assistance.
Motsenya ngongorego o ne a ipuela ko MEC wa Human Settlements le ko Ministereng wa Human Settlements mme ga gona nko e tlaneng.
In April 2023, the Commission received another complaint from Mr. Mabote.
Ka April 2023, commission na amogela ngongorego go tswa go Re Mabote.
In the complaint, Mr. Mabote alleged that more than 10 years ago, an RDP housing development project were approved in respect of Velterfreden, Moipan, Louisdal, and Louisdal in Mahikeng.
Re Mabote a re go ne go tlile ba tla agela matlo ko Moipan, Velterfreden le metse e mengwe Louisdal mo masepaleng wa Mahikeng.
As part of this project, 15 RDP houses were supposed to be built in Velterfreden, 14 in Moipan, and Louisdal.
Go ne go setse go agiwa matlo a le 14 ko Moipan, 13 ko Louisdal.
Mr. Mabote further alleged that more than 10 years later, the construction of the houses had not been completed.
Re Mabote a re morago ga dingwaga di le 10 ga ete e agilwe.
Further to receiving these complaints, the Commission then consolidated these complaints and thereafter determined to investigate the complaints at a systemic level.
Morago ga re amogele dingongora tsotlhe na ra tsa tshwetso jaaka commission gore re di tseye re di dire kana re batlisise e le selo se le sengwe gore re kgone go bona bothata jono gore bo tswa kae.
Although the investigation covered the specific complaints that we received,
Le fa go tla re lebeletse dingongora tse di ka tlhamalalo tse re nang ra di amogela.
we also understood that the problem was pervasive and systemic, and therefore we went beyond what complaints we had received.
Ne ra amogela gore bothata jono bo ama batho kana batho ba le bantsi ka jalo ne ra tsenela thata fa ne re batlisisa.
The Commission issued a public call for submissions.
na ra ipuela ba bathong gore ba simololle go tlisa dikopo mo commissioning.
In response to the public call, the Commission was informed that additional areas which are allegedly affected by the challenge of incomplete and inadequate houses in various parts of the province existed.
Morago gore re kope batho ba le bantsinyana jaanong gore ba na ra ela tlhoko gore go na le mafelo a mangwe a oketsegileng jang ba nang teng.
We therefore commenced our investigation in these ways.
Ka jalo re na ra tswalla ka pegelo eno kana ra pegelo ya patlisiso ya rona ka tsela e.
Through written correspondence with the respondents,
Na ra simolola go kwalela ba re na re tlhoka gore ba ikarabele mo go rona.
site inspections to the affected communities,
Na ra ya ka tlhamalalo ko mafelong a ditseng gore a amegile.
and an investigative inquiry.
Re bo re simolola gape re batlisisa.
The first sitting of the investigative inquiry was conducted from 10 to 12 May in 2023.
Ka di-10 go fitlha ka di-12 tsa May 2023 ke teng mo neng re dira patlisiso eno ka go botsolotsa.
And the second sitting was on 8 August 2023.
Mme ya bobedi ne ra dira yalo ka August 2023.
The Commission received submissions from the following stakeholders:
Re ne ra amogela dipegelo kana ba rakalwa ke batho bano ba ba latelang.
the complainants which have been mentioned,
Ba le ba re reng ba tlile ba tse dingongorego,
various human rights champions,
batho ba ba kgatlhegelang ditshwanelo tsa botho,
members of the Commission,
maloko a komishene,
the Office of the Auditor General in South Africa,
ofisi ya auditor general mo Afrika Borwa,
the Office of the Public Service Commission,
ofisi ya public service commission,
the Office of the Public Protector South Africa,
ofisi ya mosireletsi wa setšhaba mo Afrika Borwa,
and the City of Matlosana Local Municipality,
le masepala wa Matlosana,
as well as the Makwasi Hills Local Municipality,
le masepala wa Makwasi,
Mahikeng Local Municipality,
masepala wa Mahikeng,
the Northwest Department of Human Settlements,
lefapha la human settlements mo bokone bophirima,
the Rustenburg Local Municipality,
masepala wa Rustenburg,
the Northwest Treasury,
le ba dilang ka matlotlo mo Northwest,
as well as the Office of the Premier in the Northwest.
le ofisi ya premier mo Northwest.
The additional submissions followed the institution of a subpoena proceeding against the accounting officers of the Rustenburg, the Treasury, the Northwest Office of, who had failed to present themselves at the first sitting of the inquiry.
Ka nako ya fa re dira patlisiso eno la ntlha, masepala wa Northwest, lefapha la matlotlo, treasury la Northwest, le ofisi ya premier ga ba ka ba tla ka jalo re ne ra ba pateletsa kana ra pateletsa gore ba nne teng mo puisanong eno.
The accounting officers of Madibeng Local Municipality and JB Max Local Municipality were also subpoenaed.
Ba ba ikarabellang kwa JB Max le ko Madibeng le bone ne ra kopa gore ba nne teng mo dipuisanong tseo.
However, they did not present themselves before the inquiry.
Ba ne ba gana go tla mo pele ga dipatlisiso tse.
No reasons for non-appearance.
Ga ba ka ba ntsha mabaka a gore ba sa tla mo pele ga commission.
Notwithstanding their non-appearance, the Commission is of the view that it has sufficient information before it to make investigative findings on the issues which form the subject of the inquiry.
Le fa ne ba sa tlhagelela re tsere tshwetso. I'm sorry, I think it's from the mic.
Notwithstanding their non-appearance, the Commission is of the view that it has sufficient information before it to make investigative findings on the issues which form the subject of the inquiry.
Le fa ne ba sa tlhagelela mo commission. Re ne re na le tshedimosetso e lekaneng ya gore ka tsa tshwetso ya se re se batlisisa.
proposes to take in respect of the accounting officers of the Madibeng local municipality, as well as the JB Max local municipality, is set out.
Re na le dikakantsho tseno e le gore go tsewe kgato ka bana ba ba ikarabellang ko masepaleng wa Sedibeng le JB Max.
Prior to convening the investigative inquiry, the Commission addressed correspondence to the erstwhile Head of Department of Human Settlements regarding 6 of the complaints.
Pele ga re simolola ka dipatlisiso re ne ra bua le mo yo ikarabellang kwa lefapheng la Human Settlements ka dingwaga tse 6 tse re nang le tsona.
The HOD was given until 10 January 2023 to respond to the correspondence, but failed to do so.
Tlhoga lefapha o na fiwa go tlhaka di 10 tsa January 2023 gore a tlise pegelo go ya ka seo re ne re se mo romeletse.
I now move to the legal analysis.
Yaanong re ya go tsa semolao.
The evidence gathered during the investigation made it apparent that there is a systemic and chronic challenge of incomplete and inadequate RDP houses in the Northwest Province.
Direla tlhoko gore bothata jono jwa matlo a sa fediwang go agiwa mo province ya Bokone Bophirima ke bothata jo bo anameng.
In this regard, many housing projects in the Northwest were left at the foundation and stages after contractors abandoned the projects.
Seno se raya gore matlo a na tlogela go apole di-foundation fela mo provinceng ya Bokone Bophirima le mo gongwe go ipile mekhuti fela.
In some communities, such as Kanana, individual beneficiaries completed the housing projects themselves to make the structures habitable.
Ko mafelong a mangwe a jaaka Kanana, beng ba matlo jaanong ba ne ba tsaya tshwetso gore ba feleletse go aga matlo ao gore e le gore ba kgone go nna mo go one.
Moreover, some of the houses that were completed were inadequate due to poor workmanship, lack of internal privacy, and poor accessibility to persons with disabilities in some instances.
Matlo a mangwe a ne a sa fediwa ka gona na a sa agiwa sentle ebile a agilwe ka tsela ya gore ga gona le sephiri kana matlwana a sephiri mo teng ga matlo le gore batho ba ba tshelang ka bogole ga ba kgone go tsena mo matlong ao.
Whilst the catalyst for the Commission's investigation was the complaints coming out of JP Max local municipality, Rustenburg, Madibeng, Mahikeng, the city of Matlosana, and Makwasi municipality.
Le fa go ne re amogetse dipegelo tseno go ya ka go tswa ko masepaleng wa JB Max, Matlosana, Makwasi, Madibeng le Mahikeng.
It is apparent from the submissions, including those of the Department of Human Settlements, that the reported challenge has engulfed housing projects in every municipality in the Northwest.
Seno sa bona tota gore bothata jono jwa matlo a sa felang a ama mo e batlang e le karolo yotlhe kana province yotlhe ya Bokone Bophirima.
Some of the incomplete RDP housing projects date as far back as 2014, 2015, and 2016.
Mangwe matlo a na sa fediwa go agiwa a sa le ke dingwaga tse di tswang go 2014, 15, 2016.
Although the systemic nature of the challenge has been established from the submissions of the parties,
Le fa go ne tle ra bona bothata jono go ya ka seo batho ba ne ba ngwalega ba se buileng.
the exact extent of the challenge could not be established given the discrepancies in the respective submissions.
Ra ka ra kgona go tsenela kwa teng go ikaegile ka seo re ne re tla se batlisisa.
The discrepancies persisted even after the parties were given an opportunity to make further submissions to the Commission.
Bothata ba ne ba tswelela tota le fa batho ba ne ba filwe kana ba ba ikarabelang ba ne ba filwe tšhono ya gore ba tla go ikarabela.
These discrepancies point to ineffective performance monitoring systems and poor coordination in the implementation of housing projects.
Seno se bontsha gore go na le bothata jwa tsamaiso le go nna ba seka gore a ditiro di dirwa sentle mo mafapheng kana mo province.
In the Commission's view, the challenge of incomplete and inadequate RDP houses cannot be effectively addressed until the challenge can be accurately quantified.
Bothata jono jwa matlo a sa fediwang go agiwa ga bo ka ke mo go ka commission ga bo ka ba gona go rarabololwa sentle go fitlhella go dira patlisiso e tseneletseng ya gore bo bana me go le kana ka.
Given the context of the right of access to adequate housing,
E re ka batho ba na le tshwanelo ya go nna le matlo a tshwanetseng.
it is apparent that the Northwest Department of Human Settlements has failed to ensure the fulfillment of this right in respect of the beneficiaries of incomplete housing projects.
Lefapha la Human Settlements la Bokone Bophirima ga ba ka ba fa batho bano tshwanelo ya bone gore ba nne le matlo a tshwanetseng a ba tshwanetseng go nna mo gone ba ngoregi ba.
Including the beneficiaries of those houses that are complete but are nevertheless defective and inaccessible.
Go akaretsa le batho ba ba neng ba newa matlo mme a sa fela kana ebile ba sa kgone go nna mo gone.
This is because those houses, to some degree, are not habitable and cannot provide the peace and comfort expected of any home.
Seno ke ka gonne matlo ano a sa fela ba sa kgone go nna mo gone ebile ba sa kgone go itumela go nna mo gone.
Moreover, the right of access to adequate housing is compromised in circumstances where beneficiaries are not given title deeds to their homes.
Gape batho ga ba kgone go itumela go nna mo matlong ano ga ba sa newa di-title deeds tsa gore matlo ao ke a bone.
This is of particular importance given that security of tenure is one of the defining features of the right to housing.
Makone tetla a na botlhokwa thata ka gonne batho ba na le tshwanelo ya go nna lone ka gonne ba na le tshwanelo ya go nna le matlo.
Title deeds offer the most secure tenure when it comes to housing.
Makone tetla ka di-title deed di fa batho tshwanelo ya bone.
Stakeholders and parties cited some reasons for the persistence of these systemic challenges. These are some of the reasons.
Ba tsaya karolo ba bangwe ba ile ba ntsha mabaka ano go tlhalosa gore goreng seno se direga.
Rogue contractors and the phenomenon of contract mafias who insist of being awarded contracts or subcontracts that they cannot fulfill.
Borakonteraka ba ba sa direng tiro sentle ka borakonteraka ba di-mafia tsang gore ba newe di sa fetse.
Late payment of contracts resulting in them abandoning their projects.
Borakonteraka ba sa dueleng ka nako go bo go felela ka gore ba tlogele ditiro ba sa fetse.
Mismanagement of funds by contractors resulting in them being unable to complete their projects.
Borakonteraka ba sa diriseng madi sentle mme seno se bo se felela ka gore ba tlogele ditiro ba sa fetse.
Contractual disputes, including disputes over top-up funds for the projects.
Go sa dumalane ka konteraka e saenilweng mo ba batlang gore gongwe go okediwe madi a mo kontrakeng.
Inadequate planning, ineffective project management and implementation.
Go sa rulagane dilo sentle le go sa nne le di-project kana project manager yo o kgonang go dira gore tiro e dirwe sentle.
Lack of consequence management for failures in housing projects.
Go palelwa ke go tseela batho ba sa direng dilo sentle go palelwa ke go tseela dikgato.
Absence of a clear delineation of responsibilities between municipalities and the Northwest Human Settlements Department for housing projects.
Le go sa itse gore mang o dira eng mo gare ga masepala le human settlement.
Protest action by communities because of inadequate consultations and contestation over local employment and local content requirements.
Baagi ba ba ipelaetsang ka gonne ba sa bolelelwa dilo sentle kana ba sa bolelela ka nako ba ba simolola go ipelaetsa seno se be se thibela ditiro.
Poor workmanship on contract and material cost escalations.
Go isa di-price kana ditlhwatlhwa kwa godimo mme le go sa age sentle kana go sa dire tiro e e tswileng diatla.
upfront payment to contractors for work that has not been completed,
go duela borakonteraka kwa pele mme tiro yone ba sa e dira.
illegal occupation of stands,
Batho ba ba nnang mo matlong e se ka tshwanelo kana ba sa newa,
geotech,
mathata a tsamaisanang le mafelo a
inactive project steering committees, which should be holding poor performing contractors accountable,
go sa nne le dikomiti tseo di tlhomilweng gore ba sekaseka tiro ya borakonteraka ba ba sa direng tiro sentle.
delays in project enrollment by the National Home Builders Registration Council, as well as land invasions.
Initial BC go sa ntshe ditetla tsa go aga ka nako le nang mo mafelong kana le batho ba ba nnang mo mafelong ba ba ipaya mo mafelong.
Lack of integrated planning for housing projects,
Go sa nne le lenaneo le le tlhomameng sentle la gago ya ga matlo.
other challenges with the implementation of housing projects in the Northwest Province include underspending on the Human Settlements Development Grant,
Bothata jo bong gape ke go sa dirisiwe madi otlhe mo granteng eo ya human settlement ke bothata jo bo teng mo Northwest.
and irregularities in the appointment of contractors for housing projects,
Le go sa tlhomiwe sentle go rakonteraka kana go sa ba tlhomi ka tsela e maleba,
which include awarding contracts to suppliers prohibited from doing business with the state,
ka sekai go neela borakonteraka kana ba ntshe ditirelo mme ba sa tshwanela gore kana ba sa letlelelwang gore ba direle di-push, ba dire kgwebo di-push.
procurement of contracts without following a competitive bid process,
Go ntsha dikonteraka go sa latelela melao e e siameng ya go dira jalo.
contract extended without approvals by a delegated official,
Go okediwa ga nako ya go dira ga porojeke mme go sa buisana le ba ba maleba.
and awarding of contracts to bidders who did not qualifying score for functionality.
Le go neela borakonteraka tiro e tswa gone ba sena ditshwanelo kana ba sena bokgoni jwa go dira tiro e.
Besides a few projects in the city of Matlosana, Rustenburg local municipality, as well as Makwasi Hills local municipality, where land issues in the form of land invasions and geotechnical issues were specifically cited as the cause of the delays in the finalization.
Le fa gone go na le mathata ano a batho ba ipei le mafelo a sa tshwanang go nna batho a re a ina ba le mo Rustenburg, JB Max le Mopasi.
The reason for the incompletion of housing projects mainly relates to contractual and project management issues.
Bothata jo re bo boneng e ka gonne go na le bothata jwa konteraka kana le bothata jwa go tsamaisiwa ga diporojeke.
These fall squarely within the purview of the Northwest Department of Human Settlements.
Seno se wela mo tlase ga lefapha la human settlements mo Northwest.
Municipalities as a sphere of government that is responsible for the provision of land for housing development,
Bomasepala ba ikarabella thata kana ke karolo ya puso e ikarabellang thata ka go ntsha mafatshe a go tla go ya matlo mo go.
they are not exempt from responsibility where the delays in the finalization of projects are due to their failure to live up to their obligations.
Le bone ba santse ba ikarabella mo goreng diporojeke tse di dirwe ka nako.
Even at that, as the coordinator and administrator of housing projects in the Northwest, the Department of Human Settlement is required to provide support to municipalities to enable them to discharge duties.
E re ka lefapha la human settlement ba ikarabella thata mo goreng batho ba nne le matlo mo provinceng ba tshwanetse go ema nokeng bo masepala e le gore ba dire tiro ya bone.
It is unclear if the Northwest Department of Human Settlements sought to provide such support to the implicated municipalities, and if so, the nature of support and assistance provided?
Kara tlhomamisa ka sentle ra human settlements ba ne ba fa bo masepala ba thusa ka tsela e ba tshwanetseng ba ba thuse ka yone kana le gore ba dirile eng gore ba ba thuse.
Although the national government's housing code was partly blamed for the phenomenon of contractors abandoning projects at the foundation phase,
Le fa gone go ile ga supiwa ba ofisi ya bosetšhaba ba ba amanang le phago ya ga matlo ka nako ya ba bileng ba tlogela matlo ka nako ya fa sentse a le mo foundation.
it was said that it allowed for contractors to be paid more for completing the foundation than any other phase of the housing project.
Seno se go tesile se dilo ke ka gonne ba ne ba letlela gore bo rakonteraka ba duele madi a mantsinyana ka nako fela fa ba sena go fetsa go aga foundation.
This incentivizes contractors to prioritize the completion of the foundation and to abandon the project after the foundation phase.
Seno se ile sa dira gore bo rakonteraka ba gakalle go aga di-foundation mme morago ga moo ba ba tlogela tiro fela e ntse yalo ba sa tswelesa tiro.
However, this apportionment of blame is not supported by the contents of the housing code.
Tota se se buang ke housing code go bona e le gore ga se tsamaisane le se se buang fa.
In this regard, the technical and general guidelines to the housing code make it very clear that progress payment for the completion of project milestones is a contractual matter between the administrator of the housing project and the contractor.
Housing code ya re go duela ga batho gore ba tla duela go ya ka tiro ba e dirileng ke dipuisano tse di tsenang mo gare ga rakonteraka le mothapi kana yo masepala e dirakelang.
The housing code does not prescribe the overpayment of contractors for the completion of the foundation phase of the housing project.
Housing code ga e re batho ba tshwanetse go duela madi a mantsi mme tiro yone e sa fela.
While all the above factors have played a role in bringing about and exacerbating the challenge of inadequate or incomplete RDP houses in the Northwest Province,
Le fa gone dilo tse di farologaneng di nnile le seabe mo goreng matlo a tlogele fela sa fediwa go ya mo porofenseng go le bophirima.
at the heart of these failures is the Department of Human Settlements' failure to effectively manage housing projects in the Northwest Province.
Lefapha la Human Settlements ke lone le paletsweng ke go batlisisa le go latedisa gore tiro eno ya go apela ga matlo e dirwe sentle mo porofenseng ya Northwest.
In this regard, the Northwest Department of Human Settlements has failed to ensure that competent contractors with the necessary capacity are appointed for housing projects.
Seno se raya gore Lefapha la Human Settlements ba ile ga ba ka kana ba batlisisa kana ba latedisa gore batho ba ba kgonang go dira tiro ba ne ba tiro gore matlo a ya tiro ya go ga matlo mo porofenseng ya Northwest.
On appointing contractors, the Northwest Department of Human Settlements failed to effectively manage those contracts to ensure that contractors deliver on projects within the agreed time frame and with quality standards.
Lefapha la Human Settlements ga la ka la manager kana la latedisa gore borrakonteraka ba dira tiro sentle ba e dira ka nako le gore ba e fetse.
In most of the projects, except for a few, the Northwest Department of Human Settlements has also failed to hold contractors accountable for the non-delivery of projects in some instances.
Mo maemong a mangwe Lefapha la Human Settlements la ise mo kotsi ga ba ka ba latedisa gore borrakonteraka ba dira tiro mo ka fitlha kwa bofelong.
In some instances, contractors who have failed to deliver on past projects have been reappointed.
Mo maemong a mangwe borrakonteraka ba ileng ba tlogela tiro ba sa fetsa go e dira mo nakong e fetileng ba ne ba boela gape ba abelwa tiro.
Critically, the Northwest Department of Human Settlements has failed to hold its officials to account for the mismanagement of housing projects in the province.
Gape Lefapha la Human Settlements ga la ka la tlhomamisa gore bathapiwa ba bone ba tlhomisa gore tiro ya dira mo province ya Bokone Bophirima.
Accordingly, the Northwest Department of Human Settlements has directly contributed to the systemic failures of housing projects in the Northwest through its direct actions and omissions.
Ka jalo Lefapha la Human Settlements ba nnile le seabe ka tlhamalalo mo gore go nne le matlo a sa agiwang le a sa fiwang go agiwa ka seabe sa bone sa tlhamalalo e le ka tlhamalalo kana se ka tlhamalalo se ba nnile le seabe.
These systemic failures have resulted in inordinate delays in the finalization of housing projects in the province.
Seno se ile sa dira gore go nne kana batho ba se ka bona matlo kana gore matlo a se ka afiwa go afiwa ka nako mo provinceng ya Bokone Bophirima.
In so doing, the Department of Human Settlements has failed to ensure the progressive realization of the right of access to adequate housing.
Lefapha la Human Settlements ka jalo ba paletswe kana ga ba ka ba dira tsa maikarabelo a bone go tlhomisa gore batho ba nna le matlo a tshwanetseng.
This obligation, by definition, requires expeditious movements or progress, which has not been the case in many of the projects in the Northwest Province.
Seno se bontsha gore kana se raya gore ba tshwanetse ba tsaya kgata ka bonako e le gore go baakanya mathata bone mo province ya Northwest.
The centrality of its role in the collapse of many housing projects in the Northwest,
Le go ela tlhoko seabe se ba nnileng le sone mo goreng diporojeke tse dintsi tsa go agiwa ga matlo di tlogele fela di sa agi, di tsa fetsa go agiwa.
and in an attempt to escape accountability, the Northwest Department of Human Settlements has sought to diminish its responsibility for the failed housing projects and attributed such failures to factors outside of its control.
Gape ka gore ga ba ka ba tsaya boikarabelo jwa go bona le seabe sa bone se gore ditiro tseno di se tsa tiro ba ile ba tsaya bothata jo ba ikarabela ao ba re ke boikarabelo jwa batho ba bangwe e seng ba bone.
Moreover, despite lamenting the failings of municipalities in managing housing projects previously allocated to them,
Le fa go ntse jalo, le fa gone re lla thata ka gore masepala ba paletswe ke go dira ga tsa maikarabelo a bone a go fetsa diporojeke tsa go agiwa tse bone ba di abetswe.
the Northwest Department of Human Settlements has failed to critically reflect on its failures, despite also not faring any better than municipalities in the management of housing projects.
Lefapha la Human Settlements ba paletswe ke go itsheka-tsheka le go bona seabe sa bone mo bothateng jono jo jwa gore matlo a tlogela sa fediwa go agiwa.
In our view as the Commission, unless and until the Northwest Department of Human Settlements takes full accountability for the systemic failures in the implementation of housing projects in the Northwest Province, it cannot begin to address the systemic failures in any meaningful way.
Go fitlhelela Lefapha la Human Settlements le tsaya boikarabelo jwa gore le bone ga ba dira dilo sentle mo gore bothata jono jwa gore go nne le matlo a tlhotseng fela a sa agiwa mo province ya Northwest. Fitlhela ba tsaya boikarabelo jo ga ba ka ke ba kgona go rarabolola mathata a.
Although the Northwest Department of Human Settlements must be held accountable for these failures,
Le fa gone ba tshwanetse go bona molato kana go sutwa ka monwana ka go tlhoka go itsa maikarabelo a bone Lefapha la Human Settlements.
other government departments that are meant to play an oversight role over the Department of Human Settlements as the Northwest Treasury,
Mafapha a mangwe a puso ba ba tshwanetseng go nna ba tlhomile Lefapha la Human Settlements leitlho lefapha le jaaka la Treasury,
as well as the Northwest Office of the Premier.
le ba ofisi ya Premier mo Northwest.
They have collectively been complicit in these failures.
Le bone ke ba tsaya karolo mo go palelweng gono ga go agiwa ga matlo a sa feleleng.
They are complicit because they failed to take reasonable measures to hold the Department of Human Settlements to account and to ensure that funds allocated to them for housing projects deliver value to the state and to the beneficiaries.
Ba nna le seabe ka gonne ga ba ka ba lateledisisa le go bona gore a dirisiwa sentle le gore a kgonne go dira ditiro mo provinceng.
The impact of these failures has been devastating for RDP housing beneficiaries, many of which continue to live in inhabitable structures or in indignity and squalor in informal housing across the province.
Seno se amile batho ba tshwanang gore ba fiwe matlo ano a RDP ka gonne ba tshwanela gore ba nne mo matlong a sa felang, matlo a sa nnweng sentle, mme seno se feleletse ditshwanelo tsa bone tsa bone.
Occupiers of inadequate RDP houses similarly continue to live in indignity and in some instances in conditions that are harmful to their health and their well-being.
Batho ba nna mo matlong ano a sa felang o bontsha tota go gatekiwa ga seriti sa bone fa ba tswella pele ba nna mo matlong ano.
The delays in the completion of housing projects have also created a fertile ground for the illegal invasion of RDP houses by unqualifying occupiers to the detriment of legitimate beneficiaries.
Go diega ga go fediwa ga diporojeke tseno kana ga matlo ano le go sa abiwe ga matlo ka nako ga pulela batho ba ba sa tshwanang go nna matlong a o tshwana gore ba simolole go tla go nna mo gone e se ka tshwanelo.
This further compounds the housing backlog in the Northwest.
Mme seno se dira gore go nne le batho ba bantsi ba ba senang matlo kana nna le batho ba tshwanetse go nna le matlo le nna le telele.
As of March 2023,
Fa e sale ka March 2023,
the backlog stood at 318,605.
lenaane la batho ba ba tlhokang go fiwa matlo kana ba tshwanetse ba fiwe matlo di file go 318,065.
In the words of the Portfolio Committee, this kind of suffering in the face of a department that has done very little to address their plight is unconscionable.
Go ya ka Portfolio Committee, go palelwa ke go fa batho ditirelo tseno go bontsha tota gore lefapha la Human Settlements se ba se buang se bontsha gore ke sengwe seo se sa letlelelwang.
Accordingly, the delays in the finalization of housing projects in the Northwest Province not only violate the rights of the beneficiaries, but also their right, not only the right of the beneficiaries to adequate housing, but also their right to human dignity.
Gape go sa fiwe ga matlo ka nako le go sa fiwe ga matlo go dira gore batho ba tshwanetse ba nne le matlo ba bewe matlong ano go gatekwe ditshwanelo tsa bone tsa botho le gore ba nne le seriti.
This is because of the interrelated nature of the right to access to adequate housing and the right to human dignity.
Seno ke ka gonne batho botlhe ba na le tshwanelo ya gore ba nne le mafelo kana matlo ba nnang mo go one le gore mongwe le mongwe o tshwanetse go tsewa ka seriti a newe seriti.
The challenges not only impact the right of the beneficiaries of the delayed project, but also the rights of other beneficiaries who are still waiting for the allocation of houses.
Seno ga se ame batho fela ba gongwe ba setseng ba tla abelwa matlo mme ba sa abelwa le ba sentse ba le ko morago ba sentse ba emetse go abelwa matlo ditshwanelo tsa bone tsa botho di a gatiwa.
In the case of the houses built in Block C of Letlabile in 2005, which
nkarolong ya matlo a neng a agiwa ko Letlabile Block C ka 2005,
these houses did not provide internal privacy.
matlo ano ana fetsa go agiwa go rara batho ba ne ba nna mo go one ba ne ba sena motho a sa kgone go nna ka sephiri kana ka boinotshing a le mo ntlong.
Therefore, the Northwest Department of Human Settlements also violated the beneficiaries' rights to privacy.
Ka jalo lefapha la Human Settlements mo Northwest le la gata ka ditshwanelo tsa batho tsa gore ba nne le ba kgone go tshela ka seriti le ka sephiri.
In its defense, the Northwest Department of Human Settlements averred that the houses were constructed before the housing code and in accordance with the policies that were applicable at that time.
Ga ba itshireletsa ba re matlo ano a na a agiwa pele ga go nna le housing code kana le melawana e mengwe gape e ne e bontsha gore matlo a hwetša.
However, it is noteworthy that the houses were constructed after 1997.
Tota seno se bontsha gore ga go thuse ka gore matlo ano a na a hwa morago ga 1997.
This is when the Housing Act came into effect.
Ke ka nako eo e kgoneng go nna le molao ono wa go agiwa ga matlo.
In terms of the Housing Act, internal and external privacy is an integral component of the right to adequate housing.
Go ya ka molao ono wa Housing Act, go nna le sephiri fa o le mo tlong le fa o le kwa ntle ga legae ke selo sa botlhokwa thata.
Therefore, this right to privacy was violated.
Ka jalo tshwanelo eno ya batho e ne ya gatakiwa.
Additionally, in the case of the RDP houses built in Duflach,
Mo godimo ga moo le go agiwa kgang ya go agiwa ga matlo kwa Duflach,
which did not cater for the needs of persons living with disabilities,
matlo ano ga ka a dira kana kgontsha batho ba tshelang ka bogole gore ba nne mo go.
the Northwest Department of Human Settlements violated the right of the beneficiaries living with disabilities to equality within the context of Section 9 of the Constitution.
Lefapha la Human Settlements gape le la gata ka ditshwanelo tsa batho bano go ya ka Section 9 ya Constitution.
Here we read Section 9 of the Constitution together with Section 9 of the Equality Act.
Fano re bala Section 9 is Section 9 le
Section 9 of the Constitution and Section 9 of the Equality Act.
okay, Section 9 ya Constitution le Section 9 ya Equality Act.
Although the Commission subsequently received reports that contractors had started working on those houses to make them accessible,
Le fa commission e ya amogela pegelo ya gore ba kontraka ba ne ba fiwa tetla ya gore go simolola go agiwa matlo gore a kgone go nniwa.
the Commission has not been appraised of the status of the project and whether the remedial work has now been completed.
Commission ga ise amogele pegelo epe ya gore a tiro e ne a dirwa le gore e feditswe.
Stakeholders proposed that in order to address the reported challenges, the following priority must be given.
Ba tsaya karolo ba ile ba tsitsintsha gore go dirwe dilo tseno.
1, the appointment of competent contractors that have the necessary skills, experience, and expertise.
Go tlhomiwe borra kontraka ba ba itseng go dira tiro ba dira ba na le maitemogelo a go dira tiro eo.
2, enhancing project management within the department.
Le lefapha la project management le tlhomameng mo lefapheng la human settlements.
4, strengthening consequence management measures against failing contractors and officials of the Department of Human Settlements.
Go tlhomamisa gore go nna le ba ba nnang ba setse morago gore tiro ya dirwa le go tlhomamisa gore ba ba tshwanetseng go dira tiro ba e dira sentle.
And the officials include the head of the department and the NEC.
Go bua fano go akarediwa tlhogo ya lefapha le NEC.
4, integrated planning and the resuscitation of project steering committees.
Go tshwanetse ga nna le
And lastly, increased oversight on the Northwest Department of Human Settlements by the Treasury as well as the Premier's Office, coupled with timely interventions to ensure the completion of all incomplete projects and the eradication of backlogs.
le go tlhomamisa gore lefapha la treasury kana la matlotlo le lefapha la office ya premier ba nna ba tla go tlhomamisa gore tiro ya tiro mo human settlements e le gore tiro di dirwa ka nako.
We now move to the findings.
Seno ke se re se fitlheletseng.
In view of the above, the Commission makes the following findings.
Morago ga go sekaseka dilo tseno re fitlheletse kana pegelo eo.
The complaints of incomplete and inadequate RDP houses in the Northwest are substantiated.
Kana le dingora tse re re di amogela tsa mo professor mo bophirima e ya utlwa.
Complete and inadequate RDP houses in the is not an isolated one, limited to a few projects in the cited municipalities, but systemic, impacting all municipalities in the Northwest Province.
Bothata jono jwa matlo a sa fediwang go agiwa ga a ame fela bo masepala ba rileng ra amogela dingwaga go tswa go bone, mme ke bothata jo bo anameng mo porofenseng yotlhe.
Although the systemic nature of the challenge has been established, the exact extent of the challenge of incomplete and inadequate RDP houses in the Northwest is unknown.
Sorry.
Although the systemic nature of the challenge has been established, the exact extent of the challenge is unknown.
Le fa gone re itse gore bothata jono bo teng, ga re itse gore bo ama batho kana bo tsenetse go le kana kang.
This is because of the discrepancy in the information provided to the Commission by the different stakeholders.
Seno se dira ke ka gonne batho ba ne ba tshwanetse ba fe commission tshedimosetso ba tlise commission kana tshedimosetso eo e sa felela.
The Northwest Department of Human Settlements' failure to complete housing projects within a reasonable time and in line with the prescribed quality standards violates the right of the beneficiaries to access adequate housing and their rights to human dignity.
Go palelwa ga lefapha leno la Human Settlements go fetsa go aga matlo ka nako go ile ga gata ka ditshwanelo tsa botho tsa batho ba bane ba tshwanetse go amogela matlo a.
The Northwest Department of Human Settlements' failure to issue title deeds to beneficiaries within a reasonable time also violates the rights of the housing beneficiaries to access adequate housing, as it undermines their security of tenure.
Go palelwa ga lefapha la Human Settlements go fa batho di-title deed go bontsha gore ba ile ba gata ka ditshwanelo tsa bone tsa botho tseo di ne di tla ba thusa ka tshireletsego mo go tsa gore ba itshedise fa ba tlhokometse di-title deed tseo.
Additionally, the lack of internal privacy in the houses built as part of 2005 Block C Letabile housing project violates the right of the beneficiaries to privacy.
Gape go tlhoka sephiri mo teng ga dintlo tse di agilweng ka 2005 kwa Letlhabile go ne gape ka ditshwanelo tsa batho bano ba ba tshwanetseng go tshela ka sephiri ka go nna le sephiri fa ba beilwe mo matlong ao.
Moreover, and to the extent that there remains houses that are inaccessible to persons living with disabilities in Dufla,
Gape re ka phakile matlo a batho ba ba tshelang ka bogole ba Dufla ba sa kgoneng go tshela kana go tsena mo go one.
this situation violates their right to equality as enshrined in Section 9 of the Constitution and the Equality Act.
Seno se bontsha gore ditshwanelo tsa batho bano tse di kwadilweng mo Section 9 ya Constitution le mo ya Equality Act ba ditshwanelo tsa bone di gatakile.
While many factors contributed to the challenge of incomplete and inadequate houses in the Northwest Province,
Le fa gone go ya le mabaka a mantsi a ileng a nna gona gore matlo a se ka fediwa go agiwa ka nako mo province ya Northwest.
the Northwest Department of Human Settlement is central to these failings in that it failed to properly and effectively manage its housing projects and failed to hold itself, its staff, and contractors accountable for the failure.
Lefapha la Human Settlements ke bone tota ba ba gatetseng ditshwanelo tsa batho ka gonne ga ba ka ba tshwa badiri ba bone ba ba ne ba tshwanetse go latedisa go agiwa ga matlo ano diphoso kana go bontsha diphoso dilo tse ba sa di dirang sentle fa go agiwa madi le go palelwa ke go tsaya boikarabelo ga bone.
Although not principally responsible for the failings, the Provincial Treasury, as well as the Office of the Premier, are two departments that are meant to play an oversight role of the Northwest Department of Human Settlements.
Le fa bone Office of the Premier le Lefapha la Treasury ba sena seabe ka tlhamalalo mme fela ka gonne ga ba ka ba latedisisa go tlhomamisa gore tiro ya dirwa go Human Settlements le bone ba nna le seabe kana le batsasi ba na le karolo.
They are therefore complicit in the failings measures to hold the Northwest Department of Human Settlements and to ensure that funds allocated to them for housing projects realize commensurate value to the state and to the beneficiaries.
Ba na le seabe ka gonne ga ba ka tlhomisa gore madi a ntshitsweng gore tiro e dire ya tiro ka nako.
Municipalities such as the city of Matlosana, Makwasi Hills, and Rustenburg local municipalities who contributed to these failings by failing to effectively discharge their responsibilities insofar as the provision of land for human settlements are also complicit.
Masepala o tshwanang le Makwasi Hills, Matlosana, le Rustenburg municipality le bone ba nnile le seatla kana ba nnile le seabe mo ka gonne ba ile ba palelwa ke go diragatsa maikarabelo a bone a go tlhomisa gore batho ba nna mo mafelong a a siametseng go agiwa kana mo mafelong a tshwanetseng go agiwa mo bone.
It must be emphasized that the challenge of incomplete and inadequate RDP houses has had a devastating impact on many beneficiaries who continue to live in informal houses and other conditions of poverty and squalor.
Re tshwanetse ra gatelela ntlheng ya gore batho ba ba sa fiwang di-RDP tse di feletseng ga ba tswalela pele ba nna mo matlong a sa tshwanelang go nwa ke batho kana ebile a sa itumedise.
The non-appearance of the accounting officers of Madibeng local municipality and JB Max local municipality before the commission when they were subpoenaed constitutes a criminal offense.
E re ka batho kana ba okamedi ba paletswe ke go tla go ikarabela pele ga pholo ga seno se bontsha gore ke sengwe boitshwaro jwa bone ga iso bo letlelesegang.
More particularly, Section 22 of the South African Human Rights Act provides that any person who, and without just cause, refuses or fails to comply with a notice under Section 15 of the Act is guilty of an offense and liable on conviction or a fine to imprisonment for a period not exceeding 6 months.
Seno ke ka gonne karolo ya 22 ya South African Human Rights Act e tlhalosa gore motho yo o sa tlhokeng lebaka le le siameng la go gana kana a gana go tlhagelela mo pele ga commission le fa gona a patelediwa go tlhagelela mo pele ga commission go ya ka karolo 15 ya South African Human Rights Act o tla bo a dirile molato ebile a sa itshwara sentle ebile a sa latelela ditshwanelo tsa botho.
We now move to the recommendations.
Tseno ke di-recommendations kana seo commission e se tsitsintsa.
In accordance with the South African Human Rights Act, the Commission is vested with the authority to make recommendations that promote and protect human rights within the framework of the Constitution.
Go ya ka Act ya Human Rights, go fitlheletse committee e fitlheletse gore sorry, please.
The Commission is vested with the authority to make recommendations that promote and protect human rights.
Commission e na le maikarabelo a go sireletsa ditshwanelo tsa botho.
The preamble of the Act underscores the Commission's constitutional mandate to foster respect for human rights and to ensure their protection and development.
Maikarabelo a rona magolo thata ke go sireletsa ditshwanelo tsa botho le seriti sa bone.
The preamble also emphasizes the mandate to monitor the observance of these rights across the country.
Gape re file boikarabelo jono jwa gore re nne re etse tlhoko ebile re tlhatlhoba gore ditshwanelo tsa botho kana tsa batho ga di gatakiwe mo nageng yotlhe.
Specifically, Section 13 of the Act empowers the Commission to issue recommendations to organs of state at all levels of government whenever such actions are deemed necessary to advance human rights.
Gape Section 13 e re fa tshwanelo le tshiamelo ya gore re neele ditlhoko kana mafapha a farologaneng di-recommendations kana ditshitshinyo tsa gore ke eng se ba tshwanetseng go se dira fa ba tsena dilo sentle.
Section 13 of the Act also empowers the Commission to assist persons affected by violations of human rights to secure redress.
Gape section 13 e re ya re rona ba tshwanetse re thuse batho ba ditshwanelo tsa bone di gatakiwang gore ba kgone go bona thuso.
The provision underscores the Commission's role in not only recommending remedial action, but also actively pursuing legal avenues to ensure that justice is served and human rights are upheld.
Ga se kgang fela gore kana re na le tshemelo ene ya gore gape re ka ntsha di-remedial actions kana di-actions tsa kgalemo, mme gape fa go tlhokega re tla tsa le dikgato tsa semolao e le gore go diragadiwe seo se akantshang.
Furthermore, Section 18 of the Act calls on the Commission to submit to the National Assembly a report on its findings of a serious nature.
Gape section 18 ya re rona jaaka commission na le tshwanelo ya gore re ka begela parlamente ka seo se fitlheletseng.
Section 18 further states that if the Commission makes any finding or recommendation in respect of a matter investigated by it known to the head of an organization or institution or executive authority of any department concerned, that head of the organization or institution or the executive authority must, within 60 days after becoming aware of such finding, respond in writing to the Commission.
Gape section 18 ya re tlhogo ya lefapha kana o pefela o ikarabellang a na le maikarabelo a go tsaya tshwetso o tshwanetse a boela kwa commissioneng mo malatsing a le 60 go bontsha gore o amogetse dikakanyo tse tsa commission le go bua gore tla dirang ka se a sa amogetseng.
The response in writing must indicate whether his or her organization, institution, or department intends taking any steps to give effect to such finding or recommendation, if any such steps are required.
O tshwanetse go tlhalosa mo lekwalong leo gore lefapha la gagwe le tlile go tsa dikgato dife go baakanya le gore fa ile go a tlhoka go dira jang le gore go tla tsa dikgato dife.
In view, therefore, the Commission makes the following recommendations.
Ka jalo commission e dira recommendation kana entse dikakanyo tseno.
The Northwest Department of Human Settlements should provide a detailed report on the progress made in addressing the challenges of incomplete and inadequate RDP houses in the Northwest since the conclusion of the inquiry in August 2023.
Lefapha la Human Settlements ba tshwanetse go ntsha reporto e tlhalosang ka botlalo gore ba se ba dirile eng go baakanya bothata jono fa e sale dipatlisiso tseno di fetsa go dirwa ka August 2023.
The report should include the details of the following.
Reporto eno e tshwanetse ya nna le tshedimosetso e latelang.
1. The number of RDP houses completed since the conclusion of the inquiry in August 2023.
Palo ya dintlo tsa di-RDP tse di seng di feditse go agiwa fa e sale re feletsa gore patlisiso ka August 2023.
And this information must include the projects and municipalities under which those houses are located.
Tshedimosetso eno e tshwanetse ya akaretsa diporojeke le gore di dirwe mo tlase ga bommasepala bafe.
Number 2, the number of completed but effective houses repaired since the conclusion of the inquiry in August 2023, as well as the project and municipality under which those houses are located.
Palo ya matlo a baakantsweng a neng a na le bothata fa a sena go agiwa le gore matlo ao a wela mo tlase ga bommasepala bafe.
Number 3, the number of title deeds issued to beneficiaries since the conclusion of the inquiry in August 2023.
Le gore ke batho bafe ba fileng di-title deed fa e sale committee e dirile dipatlisiso tsa yone ka August 2023.
Number 4, the consequence management measures taken against any contractors since the conclusion of the inquiry in 2023.
Dikgato tse ba di tsereng kgatlhanong le borakonteraka tse ba ba sa dirang tiro sentle fa e sale pegelo eno e dirwa ka August 2023.
And lastly, the consequence management measures taken against any of its employees since the conclusion of the inquiry in 2023.
Le gore badiri ba bone ba tsetse dikgato dife fa e sale go dira pegelo eno kana dipatlisiso di dira ka August 2023.
Within 90 days of this report,
Mo malatsing a le 90 a sena go ntshiwa
the Northwest Department of Human Settlement verify the information on incomplete and inadequate HSS system in contact with the relevant stakeholders.
Lefapha la Human Settlements mo Northwest le tshwanetse la tlhomamisa kana la netefatsa gore tshedimosetso e mabapi le go apea ga matlo a di-RDP a sekasekiwa go ya ka program ya bona ya HSS ba thusiwa ke ba ba tshwanetseng.
The importance of this exercise cannot be overstated, as one cannot fix that which one does not know.
Seno se botlhokwa gore ba se dire ka gonne ga gona go ka baakanyang selo sa se itseng.
The Northwest Department of Human Settlements should provide a detailed, time-bound plan for addressing the challenge of incomplete and inadequate RDP houses in the province.
Lefapha la Human Settlements le tshwanetse la ntsha pegelo e nang le tshedimosetso e bontshang gore ba tla dira seno jang le le tsamaisanang le go rarabolola dikgwetlho tseno tse di teng tsa matlo a di-RDP.
The plan should outline specific and measurable steps to be taken in each project.
Lenaane leno le tshwanetse la tlhalosa kana dikgato tse ba di tshotseng go baakanya bothata jo.
The budget implications of those steps and the applicable timelines.
Le gore go tla tlhokega madi a makana kang le nako e kana kang go baakanya.
The plan should also include specific measures to address the plight of residents in Block C in Letlabile who continue to live in houses that do not accord them the privacy and dignity that is due to them.
Lenaane leno gape le tshwanetse go bontsha gore ba tla dirang go rarabolola bothata jo mo go Block C kwa Letlhabile go baakanya bothata jo batho ba.
The plan should also include plans for issuing of the remaining title deeds to beneficiaries.
Gape pegelo ya bone e tshwanetse go bontsha gore ba tla dira eng kana ba dirile eng go tlhomamisa gore batho ba nna le di-title deeds.
The plan should be developed in consultation with all relevant stakeholders.
Lenaane leno le tshwanetse go tlhamiwa kana go dirwa ba dirisana le ba bangwe ba ba tshwanetseng go ba thusa kana ba ba nang le seabe.
Consideration should be given to the proposals made by stakeholders at the inquiry when developing the plan.
Gape go tshwanetse go akarediwa le ditlhatlhobo tse di neng tsa tiro tse di amanang le balekane batho ba e leng ba botsodiwa kana ba kgone go dirwa patlisiso eo.
Thereafter, the Northwest Department of Human Settlements is to provide quarterly reports on the progress it is making against that plan.
Gape Lefapha la Human Settlements le tshwanetse go ntsha dipegelo kotara nngwe le nngwe go bontsha gore ba tsamaya ga kae go baakanya bothata jo.
The Northwest Department of Human Settlements should convene regular meetings and at least biannually with all stakeholders who have a role in their RDP housing projects.
Gape Lefapha la Human Settlements le tshwanetse go nna le dipokano gabedi kana gangwe ka ngwaga e le go bona gore go ntse go tsamaya jang.
This is in order to find shared solutions to ongoing challenges to the implementation of RDP housing projects in the province.
Seno ke go tlhomamisa gore go nna le tharabololo e e siameng kana e e tshwanetseng e le gore bothata jono jwa matla a sa apiwang bo kgone go baakwa.
To ensure the effectiveness of these engagements, should be convened with senior stakeholder representatives who can take decisions on the issues to be discussed.
Go tshwanetse ga lalediwa baemedi ba mafapha ao ba maemo a kwa godimo kana ba nang le ditshwanelo tsa go tsaya tetla e le gore bothata jono bo baakangwe.
And these engagements should be in addition and not as supplement to the regular engagements of the Public Service Commission.
Seno e tshwanetse go nna fela ga ya tshwanela go emisetsa se ba tshwanetseng go se dira, mme ke ngwa tse di ba tshwanetseng go di dira mo godimo ga se ba tlang ba se dira.
The Provincial Treasury, as well as the Office of the Premier, should provide a detailed report on measures taken since the conclusion of the inquiry in August 2023 to support the Department of Human Settlements in the discharge of its mandate.
Lefapha la Treasury le tshwanetse le bone la ntsha pego la gore ba ile ba dira eng fa e sale pegelo e ne e ntshiwa ka August 2023 go bontsha gore ke eng se ba se dirileng go tlhomamisa gore seno se ne se ipoeletse.
And how it will provide oversight and accountability for the completion of housing projects in the province.
Le gore ba tla dira eng go tlhomamisa gore ditiro di a dirwa mo provinceng ya North West.
And the effectiveness of those measures.
Le gore ditiro di dirwa sentle.
Additionally, the Northwest Treasury, as well as the Northwest Office of the Premier, should indicate the ongoing measures they will take to provide support to the Department of Human Settlements to ensure effectiveness.
Gape lefapha la Treasury kana la matlotlo le lefapha la Office of the Premier ba tshwanetse go bontsha gore ba tlile go tswelela pele ba dira eng go ba lefapha la Human Settlements le itse gore ba dira.
Therefore, the Provincial Treasury, as well as the Office of the Premier, are required to provide the South African Human Rights Commission with reports twice a year on the progress of their respective interventions on the impact thereof.
Ka jalo lefapha la Office of the Premier le lefapha la Treasury mo North West le tshwanetse go ntsha dipego di le pedi kana go ntsha report di le pedi tse di disang go commission ya ditshwanelo tsa botho go bontsha gore ke eng se ba se dirileng kana se ba se dirang go bontsha gore ba nna ba tlhomile Human Settlements dintlo.
The municipalities in which housing projects could not be completed due to land availability issues, such as City of Matlosana, Makwasi, and Rustenburg,
Bo masepala ba dire ba matla sa ganang go apela ka gonne ba sena lefatshe le le lekaneng jaaka masepala le Makwasi le Rustenburg.
they should submit reports on the measures taken since the conclusion of the inquiry to address the land availability issues.
Ba tshwanetse go ntsha dipegelo tsa gore ke eng se ba se fitlheletseng fa e sale pegelo e ntshiwa ka August 2023.
In addition, the municipality should indicate the ongoing time-bound measures they will take to address the land availability challenge.
Le gore bo masepala ba tshwanetse go ntsha pegelo ya gore bothata jono a lehatshe ba tlile go rarabolola jang.
Thereafter, the municipality should provide the commission with reports twice a year on the implementation of those measures.
Morago ga mo bo masepala bano ba tshwanetse ba ntsha pegelo ya gore gabedi ka ngwaga gore ba dira jang gore ba rarabolola bothata jono.
All municipalities cited in this report are to ensure that issues of incomplete and inadequate RDP houses
Bo masepala botlhe ba go builang ka bone mo reporteng eno bao go nang le matlo a sa agiwang le go na le tlhaelo matlo go gone.
that they all receive adequate attention of their councils at their ordinary sittings.
Gore bothata jono wa rarabololwa go di counseling kana go metseng eo ile gore bothata jono jwa tlhaelo matlo go rarabololwa.
Thereafter, all municipalities should provide the commission with reports twice a year on council deliberations on RDP housing issues in their jurisdiction.
Le gore bo masepala ba tshwanetse go ntsha pegelo gabedi ka ngwaga go bontsha gore ke tshwetso efe e council e tshotseng mo mabapi le kgannye ya go ya ga matlo a di-RDP.
The allegations of corruption, maladministration, and malfeasance in the management of RDP housing projects in the province should be referred to the Office of the Public Protector and the Special Investigating Unit for further investigation.
dikgopolo tsa bobodu, tsamaiso e sa siamang le boitsholo jo bo sa siamang mo tsamaisong ya maemo ano a go agiwa ga matlo a di-RDP mo go bone bophirima. Fa go na le sengwe fela se se sa tsamaeng sentle, tshedimosetso yotlhe e tshwanetse ya begelwa ofisi ya public protector.
And lastly, criminal charges will be opened against the accounting officers of Madibeng local municipality as well as the JB Max local municipality for failing to appear before the commission when they were subpoenaed to do so in terms of section 22 of the South African Human Rights Act.
Gape tsamaisi ba masepala wa Madibeng municipality le ba JB Max ba ba paletseng ke go iponagatsa gape le ga commission fa ba ne ba kopiwa gore ba dire jalo ba tlile go tsela dikgato mme go tla bula di-case ka gonne ga ba ka ba diragatsa boikarabelo jo.
That brings us to the end of our delivery of our report. We'd like to thank you for your time, and I now hand over to the program director.
Lebogile ke tle go wena jwa pegelo ya rona le boela go motsamaisi pele.
Thank you very much, Commissioner.
Ra leboga commissioner.
It was quite a mouthful. Few words of concern I noted from the report, which featured more than once, which are problematic as well. You find words like inadequate, non-responsiveness, poor workmanship, mismanagement and delays. These are just few words I picked up as the report was being delivered. I'm not here to deliberate on the report, but now I'm on item number 5, where I will be opening the floor to the rest of, I'll be opening the floor to everyone to have their bite. Before we go there, I would also acknowledge the presence of CGE that joined us as the program was continuing. Can I now note hands? Can I note hands of people who want to have a bite? I'll start by noting 3 hands, and then we will take it from there. I see 1 hand. I see the 2nd gentleman and the 3rd gentleman. I will start on this row. Can you give it to the gentleman? Let's start from the front going backwards.
Good morning. I don't know if it's still like good morning. Good morning to everyone, and thank you so much for this extensive report, right? And this, like the investigation that you have done, to attend to the needs of the complainant, right? So I have 3 questions, right? I think it's like a 3-fold question. So the first is that when is the human settlement expected to submit the first report, right, before the other meetings get to happen? And then the second one is what happens if they don't meet the reports that are required of them, or what they submit is not satisfactory, right, or doesn't live up to the requirements that you spoke about, right? And the third one, the last one, is that how will the commission ensure that what is on the reports is truthful, right? Whatever they outline on the reports, will you guys go to the sites and check whether they're building those houses or they're doing the things that they are saying on the reports? Thank you.
Good morning, colleagues, and thanks for the comprehensive report. My name is Theo Hauahwe. I'm from Provincial Treasury. I'm representing my chief director who couldn't come, and as well as my HOD that are currently busy with the finalization of the budget, adjustment budget. As Treasury, we accept the commissioner report entirely, and I've seen here that the directives that provincial treasury is expected to provide a detailed report within the 90 days. And I've also seen on the report that treasury is partly to be blamed due to complexity and so on. I'm not defending provincial treasury colleagues. Our responsibility as provincial treasury is to monitor the budget that is allocated to the department. And in that process, when we monitor the budget, we also conduct a site visit on a quarterly and sometimes on a monthly basis. And unfortunately, due to limited resources, we are unable to conduct regular site visits to all the departmental projects of women settlement. Department have more than 500 to 1,000 projects that are running, and you'll notice that provincial treasury is only 1 or 2% responsible for women settlement. And our focus, our function is more on the monetary value than on the non-financial information. And if you look at the department, the incomplete project, what is it that is aggravating the incomplete project? You look at the biasness of the department allocations to incomplete projects. More than 90 and 95% of the Department of Women Settlement is allocated to ongoing or new projects. Only less than 5 is allocated to incomplete projects. And our focus as treasury, it's more on the large portion of the budget that is allocated. As I indicated, we are able, and if you look at also what contributed to some of the projects being incomplete, it's a budget reduction. You are all aware that the country is facing a fiscal cliff, and there was a budget reduction. I'm not defending the department as well in this case. I'm just stating that we monitor desktop exercise project that the department reported on a desktop exercise. And as treasurer, we follow up on those things to verify that the information that the department reported on a desktop exercise is translated to the actual delivery of housing. That's a point that I want to emphasize, colleagues that are here. That treasury, we continue to monitor the project. And once we visited the project, we write a site visit report on the findings to the department. And unfortunately, in most cases, we don't get a response from the department. And as treasury, we cannot apply punitive measures as a last resort to withhold the trenches to the department on the basis that they are not responding to some of our findings, because that will aggravate the situation on the ground. The grant that we give to the department will end up being underspent, because at some stage we wanted to apply Section 18 of the PFMA to say this is the situation that we find ourselves. Should we withhold the fund? But that responsibility we cannot exercise. We can't enforce it at this stage. But the department are the one that are implementing the project, are the one that are appointing contractors. And as treasurer, we are doing our best we can with the limited resources that we have, to follow the money and monitor the budget that we allocated to women settlement. I think I'll stop there for now. Thank you very much.
Okay, we will take the last gentleman at the back from Madibin.
Thanks, Program Director and Commissioner. Samuel Mukabel is my name. Unfortunately, the accounting officer did not respond when someone. And yeah, I just want to bring few things to the attention of the Commission. I think the outcomes of this report had other challenges. The one challenge is direct insufficiency. Understanding the nature of project is important to come to an outcome. Now, Sequoia project in itself is a rural housing project. No title deeds will be issued there because the property where the development is happening is a tribal land. Those people are staying there on the basis of permission to occupy. Now, the tribal authorities has given them the right to stay there. So you can only issue a title deed once the whole settlement has been formalized, which has not been part of the project for now. So I'm just responding to Squalan on that basis of the title deed. But the project is done now. Province will respond to Squalan in terms of implementing and finalizing the whole project there. And the other thing that I want to address with Squalan, it was not 50 houses. It was 500 houses, and by the time of that report, only 25 houses were still outstanding, which are completed for now. So that's regarding Squalan. With regard to Block C, I fully agree with the comments made by the Department of Human Settlement. Block C has been developed on the standards as at that time. And it's not only Block C that needs, if the Commission says Block C must be corrected to bring it to adequate standards, you have 4 blocks in Les Habile which were built in the same standards. Block C, Block G, Block E, Block F. And you go outside Les Habile, or gas extension 4, phase 1 and phase 2. You go to Damonsville extension 1 and extension 2. You go to Mututu extension 1. This way, the standards applicable on those projects during that time, because they are projects done during that period. Now, I'm not sure to what extent will province design a program in addressing the findings of the Commission regarding what you're proposing now. That's my comment on those projects. And yeah, I fully also agree with you that the municipal manager was summoned and unfortunately did not respond. But if I can say, Madibeng is a municipality that is having challenges on its own. The municipal manager of that period is no longer there. 2 municipal managers were appointed immediately after him, and we still have an acting municipal manager now. So I'm not sure the application of that outcome, to whom will it apply to? Because the accounting officer of that time is no longer there. He's back to his job in the province. Someone took over again, someone is back to his job again. Someone took over and still continuing. I'm not sure it will be on the basis of which accounting officer that we are going to someone now. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. I think I will give it to our panel to take or answer the questions, and most of them I think were comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Program Director. I must just make the note to the government departments that have commented during this question and answer session that in terms of the procedures of our investigations, we issue provisional or interim reports to the affected parties to give them the opportunity to make any comments and to dispute any of what is inscribed in the report of the Commission, should there be any concerns. The interim or provisional report was issued to the respective departments, including the Treasury and all other affected public institutions. We take whatever comments have been submitted in lieu of the provisional report, we consider them towards the final report. The stage where we are in is that this report is now final. In terms of then the next procedure, this brings us to the first question which was asked about when we expect the response from the Department of Human Settlements. I'm going to give the Judicial Manager in the Northwest Province the opportunity to just present to us Section 18 of the Commission South African Human Rights Act, which details the process and procedure following the issuing of our reports. Over to you, Pierre.
I think it's the section you did read out before you went into, before we went into the recommendations. But apart, maybe before I get to the section 18, there are timelines in the full report attached to each recommendation. And when we refer to, I think for all of them, it is 90 days that they have to comply. And when we say 90 days, it's working days. So it will exclude your weekends, your public holiday. So we will have to you can also work out the time, or we can work it out, but that's how the 90 days is calculated. But also then, as Commissioner indicated in a presentation, in terms of Section 18 of our Act, any department has 60 days from the report just to provide an indication of whether they will be complying with the with the recommendations or not. Again, the 60 days is working days, excluding weekends and public holidays. And of course, on receipt of the submissions to the department, to the extent that there's a department that says we don't want to comply, then we have to rely on our other powers that we do have, which do include the power to litigate, to enforce our report. But a failure to receive an indication that they will not comply within the 60 days, the expectation is that they will comply with the recommendations within the 90-day period indicated in the recommendations. Is there anything else you want me to address?
Thank you very much. Over to you. The other, yes, you are right, PM, apologies for that. There were two other questions. The one related to what if the reports that we received from the department is inadequate. We would not want to preempt inadequacy from the department. We want to give them a fair and equal opportunity to submit to us their response to our report, which will be inclusive of a plan for implementation. And only once we have received the plan will we make a determination of adequacy or inadequacy. In relation to the next question about quality assurance, how do we ensure that what is being reported is in effect what is on the ground? The Commission is mandated, in addition to the protection of human rights as well as the promotion of human rights, we are mandated to monitor and assess the extent to which government departments are fulfilling their own mandates. that monitoring function takes us to the ground. We are obliged by the Constitution to ensure that the reports that we receive are verifiable with what is actually the lived experiences of the communities that are served by the government. Therefore, once we receive those reports, it will be our constitutional obligation to ensure that we quality check via our monitoring mandate, that what is actually on paper is reflected similarly on the ground. Thank you so much. I think I have covered all the questions. Thank you.
Please, thank you. Just a comment on one of the issues that were raised without detracting from the submission that was made by the commissioner regarding the inputs from the government department. And just to clarify our finding in relation to Litlabile, because the question indicated to me that maybe the finding was not understood. We are saying whatever policy was any policy must be subjected to the Constitution and the law. And we are saying in terms of the Constitution, the residents had a right to privacy. In terms of the Housing Act, they're also entitled to that. So whatever standard there was, that was not inconsistent, with the law and the Constitution, cannot be used as a basis for exonerating the department for its failures in terms of those communities. So I just know what our finding is in relation to that. Thanks.
Thank you very much. And maybe just to add on the other issue that was raised, that there are two mayors or municipal managers that came afterwards.
Thank you so much. The subpoena notice indicated the person it was directed to. So the person who was the accounting officer at the time had a legal obligation to honor the subpoena notice, and to the extent that they have not, then the criminal charges will be pursued against such a person, regardless of whether they have since left office or not, because the cause of action, so to speak, arose when they were in office.
Thank you very much. I think that concludes the first set of hands. And then let me take a second set of hands. But how we will proceed, everyone would ask a question. I request your full names and who you are representing, then you can shoot to the question. I saw a hand this side. I think the gentleman at the back. Do you still want to have a take? That's number one. And then I see another hand this side. The gentleman, okay. Number two, and then number three would be Mafisa FM, in that order. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. My name is Peter Pala. I'm representing City of Manchester. Not that the commissioner has report this final. I'll just welcome the report and say well done the Human Rights Commission. This report will go a long way to foster a relationship with the province, because this report actually is instructing us to communicate, to work together. And as we write letters to the province, they should from now on respond to our correspondences. Actually, when I raised the hand, I wanted to say, as far as we are concerned in Matosana, we do not have problems of having land for human settlement development, but we'll keep in contact with the Commission so that they give us clarity on which projects and which land that we did not agree. But as far as we are concerned, the municipality will always have land for housing development. But thanks for the report. Thank you.
No.
Right, but I'm just thinking what can I come good morning, everyone. My name is Molondo John Peron, MGP.
Before you ask your question, can I interject and request that we will have a media briefing where you will have your take. I am politely asking you to give to the good doctor there and allow him to have his take. You must not double it. Thank you very much. I will identify the third hand after this. I am getting a different direction. We will allow the media to take their questions as well. But now that I recognize you as number 2, you can have your take, and then good sir, you will have your take after him. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Commissioner, colleagues from municipalities, colleagues from other institutions in the media. I'm Dr. Mapasana Nyamazane. I'm from the Department of Human Settlement, one that is a state and charged commissioner. Commissioner, I want to indicate our appreciation of the report, and also to indicate that when the report was being compiled, we did not sit and wait for the outcome. We took it upon ourselves to do an assessment of all projects that are not complete, are sitting at different stages. We commissioned NHPRC to do that work. I want to indicate that we also, where we had contractors that were not performing, we also appointed contractors that could assist us with the part where houses were slow and so on. And in terms of those that are said to be blocked projects, because these projects, they come back as far as 10 years ago. Some of them, were affected by the COVID issues, but in that case, we have started with those projects. We will submit the report. I must indicate the try as much as we can to comply as and when there are issues that are raised by the Human Rights Commission for us to respond. We will also provide a progress report on the number of initiatives that we have done in terms of dealing with the challenges that we have in the space of human settlements. And I'm sure the colleagues from the municipalities are here. We work with them to ensure that the report required within a space of 90 days is made available. But we will also provide progress on different projects that you have made mention of. I just wanted to mention that, Commissioner, that we are compliant and we will ensure that we submit the report, and we appreciate the report, and also want to indicate that there are initiatives that we've undertaken in terms of quality assurance, in terms of ensuring that we deal with the challenges that are coming back as far as 10 years ago. Also, in the part of our re-looking at how we budget, like my colleague from Treasury has indicated, we are now at a position where we are prioritizing those projects that were left incomplete. Instead of continuing opening new graves, we are saying we must deal with the existing graves before we move to the new graves. So that is our approach in terms of dealing with the issues that are challenges that are coming a long way for us. But on the back of that, we're mindful of the challenges of the budget cuts that keep coming. We don't know what's going to happen next. We had a meeting yesterday, Monday, with our national department. We might have
cut in some of our programs that may affect our budget. But in dealing with all problems, we are committed to that, Commissioner. Thank you.
All right, good morning once more. My name is Molanda John Pevan, MJP from Radio Mafisa Rustenburg. I think I missed some of the points in the report, but what I've listened to now, I get everything that you've talked about, but I'm just gonna focus on Rustenburg because I'm in Rustenburg and I'm looking at everything that happens in Rustenburg. Now, I don't know, first point, I heard you talking about Northwest Human Settlement fakely. I heard that word several times. Failure to do this, failed to do this. And then that's where you come in as a human rights and you've got to intervene there. But the question again is, how long will we wait for them to respond to say, okay, this is the report, this is what we have, and then you intervene? And then in terms of intervening in a different way, because you are having powers, but I had to explain in some powers saying, we've got powers to do this, powers to do that. But when do we get people to account, especially this Department of Northwest Human Settlement? You know why I'm saying this? In Rustenburg, there are a lot of informal settlement, even as we speak now. You go to R510, you go to your Southrakers Road, you go to your Red Flag there, we have plenty of them. As we speak now in Garlit Park, we are having more of this informal settlement. And when we are having them, they've got their water, they've got their electricity. Ask me where did they get that? It's illegal. People come there, it's like a holy, please go out and they come back again. All right, we're just gonna leave that one. We go to extension 2 in Meridian. Extension 2 Meridian, we had the RDPs being built there. Just next to it, I think it was 3 years back, I think. They were half time. I don't know if you've got a report from it last week, the extension 2. Vandalized. As we speak now, there are only slabs there. But you go to extension 4 and 5 in Meridian, their RDPs are full there. Fine, I'll just leave it there. How long will we wait for Northwest Human Settlement to take accountability before you intervene? And the next one, maybe it's just to say a comment on that. We've got a lot of informal settlement. When do we formalize these places? Because there are a lot in Rustenburg area. When do we do that? I think, okay, yeah, I've just read some of the recommendations. I'm just hoping that you do happen the way you've just said them. A lot of those recommendations, I love them, but we would like to see implementation of those if it's possible. If it's not possible, if they are not being taken care of, then what's next? Because yes, you do have powers, but you don't see them happening. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. I will give it to our panel to address, I think, the questions from the gentleman from office. Thank you.
Thank you, and I think much of it was also comment. And the question is for how long? And as I've indicated, there are time frames indicated in the report in terms of how long we'll be waiting for the department. And of course, in crafting the recommendations in the manner that we have, we are mindful of the fact that as frustrated as we are all about the situation, the reality on the ground is that it's not going to be an issue that is resolved tomorrow. I know every housing beneficiary, they would like it to be resolved now, which is why we have crafted the recommendations in the manner that we have done, to say they have 90 days to give us their time-bound plan of action. Because remember that, this requires also budgetary allocation to, to attend to these issues. And of course, will be guided then in terms of the plan that is submitted, in terms of our further intervention as the South African Human Rights Commission. Of course, whatever plan is presented is not that we will accept it as face value. We'll engage with the department to the extent that we may believe that the plan is not reasonable, to ensure that there is a reasonable plan that responds with urgency to the issues that you've raised. And particularly in the current context where we know many beneficiaries have waited for close to 10 years to receive their houses. But as I've indicated in my opening remarks, really the implementation of these recommendations also depend on all of us in the room, not just the Commission. We need you as Mafisa FM to ensure that the issue of RDP housing remains in the in the cultures of the people, because when we stop talking about it, when we stop exposing these issues, also there's a tendency to relax. And I always say, to my colleagues in my office, and I will ask the complainants to also close their their ears, that, we have different complainants in the Commission. You have that complainant, already they can come in any day, gitty time, they want answers now. And you have a different type of complainant who just submits a report and they don't care. Once they've submitted, they are gone. And human psychology tells you that, as a file handler, I will also make sure that the complaint of that file handler that I know anytime will be coming and demanding action is always up to date. So I think that's a role that all of us can play in putting pressure to bear to all the actors, the department, and the whole provincial executive, that we have to keep these conversations going and make sure that this issue remains in the public discourse. When we have our IDP meetings or our community meetings, this issue must remain in the public discourse until such time that those who are required to